Welcome back to another episode of Veg Networking Canada, where vegan plant-based people and companies connect. It's important to honor, acknowledge, and respect that we are located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of many Indigenous peoples of Canada. We're thrilled today we have a special guest with us, a marketing strategist with nearly 2 decades of experience. She supports business owners who are tired of chasing trends and ready to build something real. And very cool here, a passionate wildlife kayak photographer. Veg Networking Canada is pleased to introduce the founder of noLMIT Marketing. Welcome, Ina Maria Toncescu.
Welcome, and thank you everyone for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. So, can you tell everybody what is the story of what led you to go vegan?
Yeah, for sure. Some of you who used to actually follow me on an old Instagram may have heard this, so I apologize for repeating myself. But back in 2018, I actually went vegetarian. I was getting on a plane. I had just spent 7 days in Cuba where there really aren't that many vegetables to eat and some fruits, but everything was extremely low. And I was basically living on sausage. I get on the plane and I am terrified flying, absolutely terrified. And I was just sitting there thinking, if I die today, what are people going to say at my funeral? And it was a very selfish thought. I recognize that it was a very selfish thought, but it was all about me. So when I went vegetarian, it really was just about me. I just wanted people to know that I did something good in my life. And so the thing that kind of propelled my vegetarianism forward and, of course, led to my vegan journey is my then husband, ex-husband now, constantly saying, you're going to die because there's no way you don't even like beans, you don't like tofu, you're extremely picky. And then, we get to my parents' house and my parents are basically like, oh my God, she's going to die. And my mom nearly faints just thinking that going vegetarian is like the worst thing in the world. And I kind of set it out to spite everyone, to be honest with you. Like, I love somebody telling me I can't do something because that's probably when I'll do it. Fast forward to 2 years later, and I was actually doing a lot of blogging, and I ended up having some of my recipes from my old Instagram being featured in magazines and like being featured on like Beyond Meat stuff, like things like that. And I was really diving extremely deep into the nutrition level. And I started realizing how easy it is to get all of your nutrition without needing dairy and eggs, essentially. And I ended up just kind of breaking down every single post I made had a lot of nutrition and micronutrition information. And then fast forward to starting to follow a lot more vegan things because they were just coming up, right? I was basically cooking 99% plant-based. I might as well just already be following plant-based people. And I ended up finding some activists. Someone posted on their social media that they needed help rescuing some ducks from water. They were basically dumped there and they were not wild ducks. I ended up meeting up with them and I realized that there's so much more that I can do. I was still wearing fur, things like that. And I walked away from that experience 12 days later, basically saying I can do so much better. And it turned into no longer being about me at all. So I have been vegan since officially March 23rd, 2020, and going strong. And I've never felt better.
Wow. What a eye-opening thought about well, what would people say about me at my funeral? And while being framed as selfish, like I guess, it's also not selfish in a way. So, anyways, did any of that journey that you just described coincide with your entrepreneurial origin story, or were those totally separate, or how did that unfold?
Yeah, actually, the entire reason why I am who I am today is because I started seeing animals for who they are. And it started with my dog. I was actually home. I was working a government job, but it was during the pandemic, and I was home and I was looking at my dog, and I said, I don't really want to come home and find out that my dog had passed away. She was already pretty old, and I had a different connection with her since going vegan. And she was my fur baby, and there were a lot more language changes that came along the way. And it was actually during some of these rescues that I was constantly thinking, I never want to work for somebody where I have to look behind, my shoulder all the time instead of being able to do what I want to do. So if it comes to rescuing animals, I want to be able to do that. And I quit my government job and finally pulled the trigger because I had been basically freelancing for, I don't even know, almost a decade. And I said, no more, it's time for me to do this full time. So in 2020, I quit my full-time job and started doing my own business. It was all about the animals.
Oh, interesting. So that those experiences were really closely linked.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. So your brand, No Limit Marketing, where is No Limit going in the future?
So I just launched, and I'm so proud to have launched this. No Limit has always been about small business and medium-sized businesses and just really supporting the backbone of the economy. But I have been taking it to the next level by doing the growth fund that I just launched. I'm calling it Limitless, LMITLESS. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to support as many people as possible to be able to get some of their marketing coaching and some of their websites, for example, up and running. Because without having a digital presence, especially in this world, not a lot of businesses are going to make it. And I think it's one of those places where everybody needs support with. So why not it come from me? I have the ability.
So tell us a little bit more about what that does that mean that it's, I guess for everybody, people who are just starting a bit, like what do you,
Yeah. So I would like to have it just newer businesses, just because those folks are the ones that are struggling the most. So between 1 and 3 years being established, I'd love to see people having already have tried some things. So they need to understand the efforts that it takes to go into marketing, not just come out of the bat and say, "Hey, we really, really need marketing." I think that it's very important for business owners to actually apply some of the things in their own lives and kind of I don't want to say fail, but they need to fall a little bit so that they know how to get back up on their own and then ask for help. And I think that will actually really help them understand what they actually need from someone, let's say like myself. So there's a couple of little things. Everyone can apply, but they have to be within Canada and the United States. They have to be considered a small business and they have to go through the application process. And then I'm actually starting the community voting side of things. So everybody will actually vote based on their stories, and then the people that with the highest votes end up getting awarded the either between $1,000 to $5,000 worth of coaching or website building from us. But
oh,
anyone and everyone can apply across Canada and the United States. And it's
okay.
for profit and non for profit as well, because I do have a little bit of a weakness for the nonprofit side of things.
Yeah, I think naturally our community here does too, for sure.
Yeah.
So next question's interesting because in the intro to you, we said, for those who are tired of chasing trends and ready to build something real. And the next question is about we frame it as transformations instead of trends because we're not necessarily interested in hearing about what's come and gone or what's here now that's gonna go later, but we're interested more so in specific to your industry and marketing, like what are some transformations or just things that you've picked up on that other people might not yet know about or might not yet be thinking about that are important?
Yeah, I'll take a step back and say it's not what people may not know, it's what people are not applying that they don't understand or know how important it is. And that is, and Sandra would have heard me say this a couple of times, but search engine optimization is alive and well. And as a business owner, you must apply as much as possible on that side of your marketing efforts. So, what I mean by that is you need to exist digitally in a strategic way. So you should be blogging still. Blogging is not dead. And blogging by answering your clients' problems are absolutely the best way to do exactly what I just said. So if your client is coming to you and saying, I do not know how to, you know, effectively file my taxes, then you should be writing a blog on how to effectively file your taxes. That is literally the answer to their questions. In conjunction to what I'm saying, there's that other side when it comes to like socials and any other places where you'll exist digitally, and that is being authentically yourself and having firsthand experience. So I will sound like a broken record when I say this. The people that are doing the best online, and I analyze I think I'm in the hundreds at this point of people who are online who are doing exceptionally well online, whether they're business owners trying to sell something, or they're nonprofit leaders, or they're lifestyle influencers, people like that. And every single one of them have one thing in common, and it is those people who are not scared, those people who are consistent, and those people who are authentic online that always do the absolute best. It is not the pre-prepared stuff. It is you going online with half your makeup done, sometimes your glasses, your hair is probably not done. And those are the videos that are going to do the absolute best. And that also translates into your website. So everything that you're thinking, everything that gives you energy, everything that you get mad about that your clients don't know about should be turned into a blog. And that is not just for search engine optimization like the old school way where Google is finding you, but it's actually for the AI overview, because AI overview is very much looking to reference information.
Um,
I'm
very,
scolding.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's good to know. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people probably hearing that they've heard it before, they've heard it before, they've heard it before, but not applying it. So totally appreciate that. And naturally, too, I was thinking in the back of my mind when asking you that question, like, how does AI, how is AI transforming marketing? Any other points on that, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there's three different pieces that I think everybody should be aware of. One, and this is applied to again all SEO and this AIO. So it's everything overarching. It's the umbrella rule. Okay. Excuse me. You must have authority online. The only way you get authority online is by constantly being linked and cited by other individuals or groups or people or other websites. So think of like Reddit and LinkedIn, and think of, for example, Positively Vegan mentioning certain companies that they're working with, for example. That is being cited and constantly being mentioned. The more of that you have, the more likely you are to have authority, which means AI is going to pull from you more often. And so will Google if you also get a lot more views. So that means you also have to have visitors to your website, which is why it's really important for business owners to not just exist on social media, but to always drive people offline. Go off of your socials and start taking people out to where 90.4% of people are still spending their time searching, which is Google, and get them offline to get to your websites and or the internet so that they can actually access your information. The other part about it is reviews, and that is extremely hard to do. And I know as I'm saying this, it's extremely hard. I'm a small business owner myself, but you must be cited in that way as well. So making sure that people are actually leaving you Google reviews is probably one of the most important things you're going to do, especially for businesses and are very local focused. You need to be showing up that way as well. And then the last thing in terms of AI is it's pulling from everywhere. So I'm going to kind of emphasize that I just said Reddit and LinkedIn and things like that, because it's not just a simple thing of you going and saying, hey, I'm Justin and come to my website and all of this. No, no, no. It's you as Justin going on Reddit and saying, hey, if you really want to know about your benefits or make the most of it, here's 3 tips I have for you. And by the way, I wrote a whole blog on this. Go check out justinbmanning.com. That is how you approach having a lot of provision of value. And then that is how AI can cite you. So it is changing. It is definitely shifting sort of the competition online and the digital visibility. However, it is really the same kind of stuff that proper marketers have been preaching for a decade and a half.
Yeah, totally. When you're saying what you're saying, I'm like, oh, it's nothing new under the sun. Like anything, it's really just another function from the outside pulling best practices
Yes.
into what people are now using to find those. Okay,
Yes,
very interesting. Okay.
exactly.
So, this could be something that you're doing personally, have done in the past, or looking to do in the future, again, either personally or from your business. But what does giving back mean to Ina and No Limit Marketing? And yeah, what does that look like?
You know, I know deep down that the goal of my business has never been to be rich. Some people start their businesses because they want to be stinking rich, and that's okay. I all the power to them, and I hope that they get exactly what they want. My business is funding the rest of my passion. So I also I'm the managing director at Canadians for Responsible Food Policy. My goal is to get to a point where my business is um, self-sustainable and or sustained enough that I am no longer putting 80% of my time into it, but maybe putting 20% of my time, and my team is putting 80% of that. And then we use the rest of that time to support the things that are actually going to drive change. So first and foremost, I have to state that I am driven by, an underlying thought at all times. The other part about it is just the time and the influence to communicate the kinds of things that we see in this world. And I see the world, what I call it, as different lenses. Being vegan, you kind of, and obviously an animal rights activist, as I'd spent a lot of time being an animal rights activist. um, I think we have different lenses that we see this world through. So having three black cats is not just a decision, but also a strategy to explain and show everyone how amazing these animals are. My photography is not just for me, but it's for everybody else to kind of stop and understand how important our ecosystems are, for example. I spend a lot of time, like all of my clients go to plant-based restaurants with me because they don't really have a choice. I just send them the invite. Very sad that Planta is closing in Toronto. However, we will find another place because that was one of our main places. So it's things like that. It's really in every little small thing, but it's also in the communication that I have with my current clients. Not all of my clients are vegan or vegetarian. Some are, surprisingly so and excitingly so. But it is the communications that we have. Like I actually mention my animal rights activism. I mention the corporate pressure campaigns I used to run. I have no shame in what I've done, and I'm actually very proud of having what I call a moral compass that I would love to be the helm of that at all times. And I use it to actually talk about our marketing strategies. And somehow everyone is just kind of okay with what we're talking about. And suddenly veganism doesn't seem so far-fetched for everybody or far reachable.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Now, in terms of uh, whether this is about responsible food systems or marketing or veganism or what have you, when I say what resources would you recommend to people? What jumps out at you?
What resources? I will give a shout out to Animal Justice. Their blogs and their blogging game, so very much marketing at the same time, right? Is just on point, and they have done an amazing job. And if you take a step back and forget about what they're actually saying and who they're speaking for, but if you look at their marketing strategy, it is effective, it works, it applies to a lot of people. I'm not sure if you see Animal Justice's socials, but they always share a lot of reposts from animal sanctuaries, for example. Like, one of my favorites is Barn Sanctuary, having a cow that is purring, for example. First time I'd ever heard a cow purr. I'm actually scared of cows, by the way. And I, connected differently even in that level, but they do it because it brings people that are not your usual people in. We are an echo chamber if they only speak to us. But if they post things like that, it's for everybody and anybody. And then suddenly there are people that are going to consider and change their mind and potentially see things that otherwise they wouldn't have. And so from a marketing standpoint, if you take a look at how Animal Justice operates and what their marketing, what their digital presence looks like, it is effective. It is something to be to applaud. And then if you look at what they're actually doing in terms of the animal rights and the veganism side of things, I absolutely, again, it's a way to commend because of the way that they are very much welcoming to everybody and anybody. And I think if you wanted a resource or a place to start, it would be really good because from there are many different places to veer off of that anybody and everybody fits in.
Yeah, Animal Justice is incredible. We've had them on the podcast before. And are there any other resources in terms of podcasts or books or even apps or something that people might not be thinking about relating to marketing?
Yes. So relating to marketing, I highly recommend Seth Godin's This Is Marketing book. It is a little bit on the older side, older like 2018, but
Hmm.
older enough that we may have not been speaking about AI at that time. But a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about when it comes to the foundations of marketing are really in there. It is one of my favorite books. And then just kind of in relation to life overall, but I think it really impacted me as a business owner. And I think that if you really want to have effective marketing, you have to be balanced in so many things in your life personally and also within your business itself, having like 5 million tasks and 5 million hands you need to have at the same time. Is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Again, highly recommended. It's the thought of 1% better that always sticks in my head. I have it written in my on my mirror in my bathroom because it is 1% better even in marketing. And if you did 1% better in marketing every day, you would be so much further at the end of the year. So I think it is just applying really simple values like that that could really change anybody looking to grow.
Love it. Love it. You mentioned animal justice as a source, as a resource, which kind of blends into the next question, which is who and or what inspires you?
Does it have to be human?
No, no, not at all. It could be whatever
Okay.
you want.
um, okay. Oh man. Okay. So I don't know if everybody can see, but this was my dog, and she's not here anymore, but she's here. She's there in spirit, but she changed my life. And it is the uh, it is the love and the simplicity in loving life that I have never not I've never seen in the way that my dog had. Obviously, it's seen through my cats, and there's actually another dog beside me who I'm dog sitting right now. And it is through her that I learned to be patient, which is something that I very much, patience is not my virtue. I am not a naturally patient individual. I have ADHD. I don't think patience is in my vocabulary ever. But with her, I had to learn to slow down. I had to learn to take 7 walks a day because we needed to go outside that many times. It pushed me into a different life that I didn't know I could have. And she changed literally the entire course of my entire life. Like I would not be who I am today had it not been for her and her love. So she still inspires me to this day because there are so many things I do the way that I do them because of her. So I still have her here so differently. And I will tell you that my little cat, which is right here, he is constantly trying to touch this. I don't know why, but I had to move it because he's 24/7 trying to get to it. And I think it's because he kind of just knows that there's something there that's left that is energy that we obviously are always putting out. And they just know. So yeah, she still continues. I know she's not physically here, but spiritually she continues to be my source of being kinder in this world.
Yeah, that comes through totally. And I personally am not one to say what was her name. So, like, what is her name?
Her name's Fifi, Fifi.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
And then this is like a huge open-ended, this one question in and of itself could take the whole 60 minutes that we have with folks. And that is, um, you're speaking to people who are entrepreneurial, business owners, maybe seasoned, maybe brand new, with a focus on being better and showing up in the world in a certain way. That's the audience here. And so, again, big open ended question here: advice, lessons, or tips for those listening?
For sure. Um, I will tell you, authenticity is going to be something, again, I'm going to repeat 5 million times. You are going to attract exactly what you want to attract if you yourself are as authentic as possible. And that includes digitally. I'll give you a small and quick story. I have a client in Florida. She's an accountant. And she asks me, if you're going to change my Instagram bio, should we remove the rainbow? She's queer. And I was like, no, absolutely not. We're not removing it. And she's like, but what about my clients? And I said, do you want clients who are scared of a rainbow emoji? Like, let's just make it really simple. If they are, that's a problem. And also, I wouldn't want to work with someone who's not okay with who I am. What happens if in passing you mention something or they see a picture of you being at one of the parades or something in Florida or whatever it might be? And I said to her, the right people will not care and the wrong people will just turn away. And if they have anything to say, don't worry, I'll handle it. That's what I'm here for, right? We've been at this for almost 2 years together, and she's 3x'd her clients. She asked me to slow down the posting because she's like, okay, we're done. Like, we can't do this anymore. Let's take a moment. She's on Google and she actually shows up for queer CPA, which is even more amazing because it's exactly who she is. And she's never had a single person troll her despite being in Florida. We were scared. We were really worried about existing online. And well, I wasn't, because I'm not worried about trolls, but I I haven't had a single negative response. And so you'd be surprised how, by just kind of being your weird and maybe quirky self. I'm quirky as heck. So I live in my quirkiness and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with just being who I am. That's all right. And you should be too, because that is how you build your actual community and customer loyalty. And the people that come back are the ones who will actually 3x and 10x your business. It's not the people that are the trolls. But with that said, and this is more, this next piece of advice is more for the people in the room that are vegans and are actively and shamelessly, as you should be, vegan and want to do more plant-based work. Even if the trolls are coming, that's actually a really good thing. I grew my former Instagram. I shut it down, so I wish I could show you. But I grew my former Instagram to thousands of followers at the time that I had it in a very short time. And that's because I had people commenting on my stuff 24/7. And it was always negative comments. And I loved them. You know why? Because I would respond with a question, an open ended question. I would say, but why do you feel that way? Or what makes you say that? And things like that. And they would come back and comment. And the reason why I loved that so much is because they were constantly boosting the algorithm. The longer they stayed on my post, the more my post was being shown to other people who were like them. I had Iowa beef farmers comment on my stuff. Okay. I love those conversations. I spent 4 months speaking with them back and forth, and it was some of the best information I ever had in my entire life. Okay. As an animal rights activist, the education I got out of why people don't want to be vegan came out of the people who really don't like veganism. And I learned and became better because of it. As a business person though, and I monetized my channel quite quickly earlier in advance. You can't monetize at this level now, but I monetized quickly because of the people that spent extra time to go and comment and draw that emotion. And that's my last piece of advice. I know that I'm kind of segueing to things, but as the biggest piece when it comes to being online digitally, when it comes to your social presence as a business owner, is to draw some kind of emotion or provide enough value that it moves someone. And it doesn't matter how you move them, because you'll still be memorable, but you have to move them enough to either comment, to click further, to find out and learn more. Do not go there and just be like, hey, I'm really good at what I do, so you should contact me. Nobody cares. Nobody wants that. But if you post a picture of your dog or a picture of your cat upside down, which I have many, they will answer. They will respond a lot more. And then in between all of that, they're going to remember you as the girl probably with the black cats who could also use some business. It works, but move and use emotion to your advantage as a business owner. How's that for
Yeah.
60 minutes?
That's great. Yeah, there's that's such a fun question for us here because there's never, right or wrong, and it's just so interesting to hear what people are passionate about in terms of how they frame advice and that kind of thing. And yeah, nobody likes boring or unmemorable. It's so easily forgettable. And I don't use this word with the typical negative connotation that is associated with it, and that word is freak. I actually think, to your point, it's more about unique, interesting, one of a kind, quirky, and it makes me think when you were saying what you were saying. Okay, folks, like you heard it here first, like fly your freak flag high.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ina, is there anything that we missed in the conversation or anything that you would like to go back to or any announcements or anything like that before we let everybody know your socials?
Yeah. I just wanted to say one thing about your AI stuff. So AI is obviously quickly moving. My biggest piece of advice I'll have in terms of using AI for your marketing and for your business overall is do not let it lead. You lead your AI and use it as a tool. but you are still the fire that fuels that information. And if you start moving too far away from that, you will quickly become what AI is, or what AI's information often is, which is very much middle of the pile, is what us marketers call it. Your captions will be middle of the pile, your responses will be middle of the pile, but you can do a lot better. Um, Basically, just leading it and then using it as a tool that it is. It is a tool and it's here and it's not going away. With that said, also be extremely concise when it comes to your information online. So for example, if you have events, and I'm speaking to some of you who are running actual events in this place, too long didn't read, the TLDRs, put that in. Like put a TLDR before you read the entire thing of why you should come to our event. It's this date, it's this much money, and it's happening at this location. And AI picks that up faster than all of the information on your content on your page. So be very effective and concise when you're using AI. As a last thing, the Limitless Fund is open to obviously everybody and anybody. It's not just for vegans, but I want to help the nonprofit side as much as possible. So there will be, I can make the decision, and I'm the one that's funding it. I can make the decision on who's getting funded, and I'd very much love to be heading towards more of the nonprofit efforts as much as possible. So if you know people that need marketing coaching or a website that's properly SEO'd, just tell them about it, because it costs nothing to enter and it basically takes a total of 10 minutes to read through everything, and it might just help them significantly.
Love it. Thanks, Ina. So everybody, you can find out more. The website is No Limit with only one I. So it's NOLMIT.com. And then it is the Instagram is at No Limit Marketing. Again, it's limit with one I. So No Limit Marketing. And everybody who's here, thank you so much for spending some time with us. And those who are listening, on your own time and not live, thanks for being here with us. Ina, thank you for being here. And this has been another episode of Edge Networking Canada, where we had a great conversation with the founder of No Limit Marketing, Ina Maria Toncescu. Thank you so much for being here. And everybody will catch you soon on another episode. Take care. Bye for now.
Thank you.